What is going on, people, and welcome back to the channel. If you watched the last video, I'm starting a little bit of a series on my enduro bike at the moment, and I'm going to be trying to get some more people into the sport and the hobby of enduro riding / green lane riding. In this video, it's 5 reasons to buy an enduro. Now, I'm doing this video because when I did the 5 reasons to buy a transporter and 5 reasons not to buy a transporter, they were some of my biggest videos and they helped quite a lot of people out when they were looking for their transporter. So I'm going to do the same for the enduro bikes as well. So 5 reasons to buy an enduro, and then my next video is going to be 5 reasons not to buy an enduro. I'm going to try and remain as impartial and unbiased as possible, so let's get straight into it. So reason number 1 is it is categorically the most fun you will ever have on a motorbike. Of course, that is totally subjective, but I've never met a person that's gone from road riding to enduro riding and not thought it's fun. It is insane. You will have loads of fun. The fun I have on the road is probably double what I have off-road. And I'm no like super talented off-road rider, I should add that. It doesn't matter if you're good off-road or bad off-road. You're going to have a good time. The next reason is cheap parts. Because of the nature of the sport, when you drop your bike or break something, the parts are going to be cheap, easy to come by, and generally easy to replace as well. The majority of the sticky out components of an enduro bike are expense items. You know, you're just going to get a cheap lever, a cheap indicator. They're all really cheap, and they are high quality as well. So as compared to if you dropped an R1 and you replaced the mirror, the indicator, your bar end, your lever, maybe a clip-on, and get the panels resprayed, with an enduro bike, you drop it, chances are it probably won't break anyway, but if it does, and you have to replace all them, you wouldn't have to replace your plastics because they're made of a more durable plastic, so it probably has a little scuff on it, but nothing to worry about. Indicator's probably flexible, probably just bent out of the way and bent back. Lever's probably flexible, probably just bent out of the way and bent back. You might have made a scuff to your bar end, but you're not bothered anyway because you've already done that 10 times when you're out on the trials, and your mirror probably weren't there because you don't need to see behind you when you're going that fast. It's relatively cheap, which leads me on to our next point. They're very difficult to break. Like we just went through, what happens if you just drop an R1 on its side outside your garage, not moving anywhere, the damage what you'll incur. You will fall off an enduro bike at 30 miles per hour, it will roll down the hill, and you will pick it up and ride it off afterwards. At worst, you're going to have to manually bend the lever back out just to make it usable. Of course, things do snap. Eventually, you bend metal enough and it is going to snap. But they are hard to break. I've come off my bike pretty hard a few times now, and I've not broken it. In fact, I lie. I've broken a light, an aftermarket light, what was clipped on. I don't think that was broken because of an impact. I think it just wore free with the vibrations. And I've broken a rear indicator, and that's because I put a stupid exhaust on it and it melted it. So yeah, they're pretty hard to break. Freedom to go absolutely anywhere. And I know this is a cliche, and you probably want to get your moped when you were 16, so you have freedom to travel the world. But this is genuinely, like, you can go legally up hills, and you can go up to places you'd never get to normally unless you were walking, and that's boring. So you want to ride up there on a motorbike, get to the top, stop for a coffee, and ride elsewhere. The freedom on an enduro bike is insane. So I mainly do green laning, the green laning side of things, and I just love the fact that you can just bounce from a road to a track, to a ford, to a river. You can bounce from all these different terrains. You don't need to change anything. You just go to it, and I just really love that freedom. And you could ride around your local area and ride there for 6 months and never see the same thing twice. There's so many lanes, so many legal byways and legal lanes that you can go on that you would never have seen otherwise. So that freedom is just insane. And to be honest, that is one of the main reasons what I love about it. I love the adrenaline, I love the fun, I love the challenge of taking on obstacles, what I don't think I could do until I actually tried it. But the main thing is the freedom. And the last thing is, it's going to cause some controversy, this one, but I think it's a cheap hobby. I know some people say it's a super expensive hobby, but I think it's cheap. And I'm comparing it to other big hobbies. I'm not comparing it to, I don't know, hill walking, because of course that is the cheapest hobby. But I'm comparing it to other big hobbies that you need kit and equipment for. So let's compare it to golf. You can get a decent bike for the same price as a decent set of golf clubs. And you can then ride, if it's road legal, you can ride around for free. And you'll do that on 1 tank of fuel in one day. You won't use more than 1 tank of fuel in a day. So you've just had a full day out for £10. If you were to go and play a round of golf for half a day, you can sometimes be paying £30–40 for a round of golf. Don't get me wrong, you will get your cheap places. But then if you were to pay that much on enduro riding or green laning, you could pay to go on an off-road track. For £20 you can have access to an off-road track and have the jumps. So once you're kitted out, once you've got the bike and you've got the equipment, of course, yeah, it's a cheap hobby. When things break, they're cheap to fix. So, cheap hobby, but take that with a pinch of salt. It obviously is quite expensive to get into. But, that being said, you don't need a £3,000 plus bike to do enduro riding. There's people that have travelled around the world on a Honda C90. You can do it on cheap bike. I've got friends that have done jumps on Bandit 600s. You don't need to spend all this money on a super fancy KTM 352 stroke to have fun. You just don't. And no matter what bike you put me on the track, I'm going to have fun on it. Whether that be a cheap pit bike, a Honda C90, or my Husqvarna 701, because that is an expensive bike. I mean, I'm under no illusions, that's an expensive bike. That's the most expensive bike I've ever owned, so it's been more expensive than all my road bikes. But I didn't need to do that to have the fun I'm having. I just liked the bike a lot. Hope that's been sufficient for you for 5 reasons to buy an Enduro. And one thing I will top that off with is if there's even an ounce of thought that you're going to get an Enduro green laner bike, if you're thinking, I might enjoy this, just do it. Just do it. You will not regret it. You don't have to buy everything at once. You can use some of your road gear off-road. It doesn't really matter. You will be more comfortable with off-road gear, of course, but you can incrementally get into it. But you will really, really, really enjoy it. I guarantee it. If you are still on the fence, I'm going to be giving you 5 reasons not to buy an Enduro in the next video. So you should go and watch them.